All right, Vegas Website Design Podcast listeners, I'm Marie Thompson, co-founder here, and today I have the privilege of sitting with author, speaker, and entrepreneur Shaundell Newsome, founder of the SBA award-winning Family-Owned Business of the Year, Sumnu Marketing, creator of the 12 Steps of Marketing, U.S. Airforce Veteran, and board member on the Las Vegas Urban Chamber of Commerce. Did I get them all?
You got them all.
All right, awesome. No, really, you are pretty well known here in the Las Vegas local scene, and not just for your accomplishments, but for your service. And because we believe in your vision, we are so glad to have you with us and give you another platform to share your voice.
Thank you.
So please tell us a little bit about your background, about who you are, how long you've been in the industry, and how you got started.
Wow, how long I've been in the industry? I've been in the industry since 1982, which is when I started working as an intern for Luedna Graphics, which was a printing company in Brooklyn, New York. And once upon a time, printing was all about. That's what advertising and direct mail and everything was all about. So I attended the High School of Graphic Communication Arts, which is on 49th Street in Manhattan, down the street from Rockefeller Center, where most of us interned. I got to intern with another large firm that most people might know about, Ogilvy Mather, which is a international firm started by David Ogilvy and his partners, who is similar to the Babe Ruth of advertising and marketing. So had a lot of experience as a young person. And I knew at that point that's really what I wanted to do in life was something in communications. Mm-hmm. So I shortly after enlisted in the United States Air Force at 17 years old. Prior to that, I started my own first business where I printed flyers and brochures and different things for mainly girls in the neighborhood because they always had some sort of party, some sort of sleepover. Right. They always had some sort of thing going on. So obviously I was very popular with those guys. But one of the things that started at the same time was hip hop. So a lot of those guys were selling tapes out of the trunk of their cars. So I would do like tape covers for them, flyers and posters for them.
You're losing my millennial audience right now.
Street stuff. Well, actually, I bet you I'm gaining most of them because most of them don't know where hip hop came from. They're getting the history of it. So it's interesting because where they were classified as, you know, the millennials and kind of the disruptors and the ones who are not wanting to have real jobs, we were actually doing that back in the 1980s. People were saying the same thing about us because we were not now fixing machines or doing things like that. We were actually starting out with computers. So we were kind of the first generation on that computer craze with the Apple.
So what brought you here to Las Vegas?
The military. Air Force, once I was done with basic training in tech school, they sent me to Nellis Air Force Base where I spent my decade career working on new technology such as drone technology. Yes, in the 90s we did drone technology, as well as the stealth technology and smart bombs. So we did a lot of the testing and training and all of the development for the Air Forces, even around the world. The training happens right here at Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, Nevada.
And because this is an entrepreneur's environment and you've been such an inspiration in this field, I'd like to talk with you about the proven approach to marketing. So just inform us a little bit of the services that you provide at Sumnu Marketing that help companies to grow.
Well, the main service that we provide is what we call the 12 Steps of Marketing and so small businesses, because I realize that small businesses have a different mindset. Most people who own a small business have, you know, I was a mechanic, now I own an auto repair shop. Mm-hmm. You know, I was a maid, so now I own a janitorial service. Mm-hmm. I was a cook, now I own a restaurant.
That's right.
But the business aspect of it and how to market is something they never dealt with. I know how to cook, I know how to fix cars, I know how to clean, but I don't understand how to market this business. Right. I got the best education in the world where everybody is hyped about the UFC, for example. I worked with those guys. I worked with them for 6 years after the military, and I got an education on how the casino and the gaming operation works. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, within one casino, there are about 30 different small businesses. Hmm. So that's where the vision came from. The vision came from that space. But I know that casinos don't really fail. They don't fail because they have the secret sauce of how to create loyal brand champions. Is something I always talk about. How do you not just get a customer in the door, but how do you keep them coming through the door repeatedly? Similar to now, after that, I learned Apple was doing the same thing.
Right.
Starbucks is doing the same thing. McDonald's does the same thing. How do you keep that customer coming in the door and then organically growing other customers?
Yeah, well, you're leading into my next question right here. As we know, there are many different forms of marketing, from printed material and paid online traffic. But how do you approach marketing efforts for business owners?
So that's great. That printing, even websites, business cards, all of those things are the tangibles, right? What I say is you got to get to the intangible. You have to get to the psychographics of the customer. The customer, no matter what technology does, there's still somebody on the end. The end user has an emotion.
Or the human experience.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. That you have to hit what you have to hit is that one chord of emotion that triggers them to make the buy. Right? Mm-hmm. It's no longer where you're that salesman who puts your foot in the door and go, I'm not leaving until you buy a vacuum right. from me. It's really where people are more informed. They understand. They have the internet. You have to build a relationship with them in order to get them in. And once they're in, they're loyal.
Right. It's that know, like, and trust factor.
Yes.
Okay. So those of us in marketing understand it all starts with strategy and consulting. Tell us a little bit about the process you have perfected and what you'd like your clients to know through your tried experience.
Well, the process of the 12 steps of marketing is that process. And the process is going from understanding who you are, understanding your market, understanding your customer, all the way through how do you communicate to them? How do you give them that ultimate experience? Disney always talks about the experience. How do you create that experience? Then you get into the place where you constantly engage them so that they continually feel that experience where it goes generation to generation, where you no longer have to cold call. You no longer have to make sales calls because those folks are doing it for you. They're like, hey, you know what? I bought Ford since I was 15, you're buying a Ford, right? So it's that brand that's in your mind where people are now talking more about your brand than you are. Yep.
So what are some of the common misconceptions you often hear from entrepreneurs, such as we don't have the time or the budget for marketing, and how do you address those?
Oh, I hear those daily. Now, and how I address them is how I always tell them that you can't afford not to invest in marketing. Marketing is not an expense item. Those that believe it's an expense item, they fail.
Or luxury.
In the first 3 to 5 years, most small businesses fail in their first 3 to 5 years. There was a study that said 80% of it is because they fail to communicate.
That's right.
They don't know how to communicate their brand. They don't know how to touch their customers. They don't know how to create loyal brand champions. So in their first 3 to 5 years, that's the tester. If you don't get it right, typically you're done.
You're going
to crash and burn. So my recommendation to them is understand initially, start your investment early. I started investing in my company through marketing and branding 2 years before it started. I learned that from the gaming guys. I learned that from the Apple guys. Think about it. You know about a new cell phone 18 months before it comes out.
Yes.
Right? So why don't you use that same method for your business? If that's your most precious thing that you're working on right now, and knowing that most small businesses, you're investing your savings, you're investing your retirement, you're investing your time and energy, why are you not investing in marketing this product? There's a big reason why people invest a lot of dollars in marketing. In fact, I'll give you one more tidbit. Las Vegas, when the recession hit, they increased their marketing budget because they knew that if they increased their marketing budget with the What Happens in Vegas Stays in Vegas campaign, people, when they recover, that's what they'll know.
Right.
And that's why they've reached over $45 billion and over 40 million visitors over the last year.
So speaking of the early stages for entrepreneurs, what are some steps that business owners can take in their early stages, their mid stages, and mature stages to see profitable growth short-term and long-term?
Set it up right in the first place. One thing in the military we talked about is if you're going to build something, you have to build it right the first time. That's why we have all those engineers and those smart people. It's the foundation. Mm-hmm. And people think marketing is about the great idea. I had a great idea and I just put it out there and people gravitate to it. That is a big, big myth. It is all about a process of developing a relationship with a targeted customer who cares. The reason why my wife is a loyal Kohl's shopper is because they built a relationship with her, right? So when they have a sale, she's not thinking about anybody else. She's thinking about that store because that store has implanted, I got something for you, right? So anything that you have, I'm set with my mind. There's a relationship there. And once you build that relationship, it keeps growing and growing and growing. And then they recommend other people. And they say, well, where'd you get that from? Oh, I got that from Kohl's. Mm-hmm. So it's bigger than what people think. They just think for some reason that they start off a business and everybody is as passionate as you are about that business. You're a great cook, so your food, everybody in your family told you your food is great. So now everybody in the world thinks your food is great. That's the worst assumption of an entrepreneur. Yeah. And as I counsel, because I mentor a lot of entrepreneurs too, people don't realize that I mentor and I talk to them and I tell them, understand something. One, you have to charge for your services, right? That's right. And it's all based on value, not necessarily on price. You're not trying to beat out the next guy on price. You're trying to beat them in value. Mm-hmm. If you beat them in value, you can access that dollar that can help you build and grow and develop your business. But most people want to first look at it. Let me be the cheapest guy in town.
Well, there will always be that
right.
player.
Yeah, but those guys always lose. Those are the losers. The 80% that lose are the ones that
right along behind them and takes their place.
That's all that happens.
So what about a business owner that would come to you in their mature stages? What could they do to see profitable growth if they have been stagnant for quite a while? You know,
it's interesting because I've had somebody who was in business for 20 years. And what they have to do is think about it from the blockbuster mentality, right? You have to evolve because your audience is changing. You know, it's almost like when we talked about with gaming, it was like we had to go to online gaming.
Yeah.
There was no, it's like you're just fighting against something because you don't understand it. No, we embrace it, right? You say, this is what I'm going to do. And when you talk, I tell you, a great example is the UFC. The UFC used social media and digital marketing to really grow. When we talked to the vice president and the owners, the vice president of marketing and the owners, they understood that this new phenomenon with social media was a way to move. What I found with mature businesses is they become stagnant. That's right. They're stuck in radio when television has already been invented. Mm-hmm. They're stuck in television when the internet has been invented. Mm-hmm. They're stuck in a mindset where I've done this for the last 20 years and I've been successful. Yep. But really, have you been successful? Have you maximized the opportunities, the full potential of your business? Absolutely. That's how we work with mature businesses. Are you maximizing the full potential of your business, or are you just living off of the fat of the land?
So unless you're an expert, marketing can be overwhelming. How do companies know where to start, and how do business owners differentiate between who is a legitimate, experienced leader that can help them grow and someone who's posing?
You know what? That's a great question, because I always talk about the imposters. The imposters are people who give you information on a very, very basic level. And one of the things they lack is they lack vision. They lack understanding of the market. They don't really know what the market is. So, and I have a lot of people who, when I'm at trade shows, they walk up and they say, I'm in marketing too. I'm just like you. I said, no, you're not. And I'm very bold with it. I'm like, no, you're not. Tell me how you're just like me. Because I will tell you that I have clients who, when their industry shifts, I know exactly what to do. you might not know because all you're focused on is making a sale to them. Mm-hmm. You're thinking that the relationship with them is all about you making some money. What I'm thinking is the relationship for me is providing them a service where I know for a fact they're going to grow. They're going to grow and develop. Look, the imposters, watch the imposters, because the first thing they will do is they will talk about price, where the experts talk about results. Yeah. And we are confident in results.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. So give us some telltale signs that an organization is ready to bring on a marketing consultant.
The beginner needs to start early. They need to, if you're starting a business, you need to start thinking about your marketing and your brand early. 18 to 24 months you should be thinking, because then when they come to a web designer, or they come to a printer, or they come to anybody, they already know. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about building content. The content is built. So I would say the beginner does that. The person who becomes stagnant, if you notice that your cash flows are flat, they're just flat over the last couple of years. It may even be good cash flow. But if it's flat, and one thing I learned about the guys in gaming and hospitality, they do not settle. They are ambitious. They want to see, how do we maximize our full potential? If you ever go into a casino, you will see that there's a machine and a game everywhere, because they're maximizing all floor space as necessary. They have the same approach to business. Mm-hmm. What I would say to mature businesses is take a look at all of your product lines and see if they're stagnant. See if you're not growing. Okay. You should never settle. Once you see that, now you know you need to bring in an in-house marketing professional so that they can help you grow. And not just communications, because that's the other thing that people believe. There may be something internal that is messing with the customer experience. We had a dental office that we consulted with in 2006, 2007. What we learned is the dentist was a great guy. He was entertaining. Kids loved him. All of those things. But at the end of the process, when you pay, that lady was rotten.
Right, and that could be a process, or that could be a person.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the marketing experience. So people don't look at it as a full experience. They get stuck on, this is what I'm paying out and this is what's coming in. But they don't see what's being retained.
That's right.
So the marketing experience is a full circle.
All right, so you've got some upcoming events and projects on your agenda. We're working to launch the new Sumnu Solutions Zone, and tell us a little bit about those upcoming events and projects.
The upcoming events, oh man, we got so much going on. I do training. I do a lot of training. I do training at Nellis Air Force Base, where we do what's called Boots to Business, which helps veterans transition from the military to entrepreneurship. So I do that. I do I got marketing training, seminars, webinars, different things that are happening. But the most exciting thing is the Sumnu Solution Zone. My daughter, Tiara, who's the CEO of this company, she thought that more people had to have access to me. I've been doing workshops for 15 years. And for 15 years, I have been helping small businesses 30 at a time in a room, and that goes back to expanding and growing and understanding that times are changing. Yeah. So people don't, and some of the old schoolers, they still like to come to the room with 30 people and we can do a presentation and show them how to market their business through the 12 steps of marketing. But now, she said, I think more people want to be a part of that experience. So we're taking it out online. We're taking it international, global, with the help of your company. We love this because we are actually going to have a weekly marketing mentor to you, or actually a daily. I guess weekly is a bad word, because we're going to be a marketing mentor to these folks. I'm going to make sure that they clearly understand marketing. They become engaged in marketing processes. They know how to use marketing tools, which will ultimately help them grow cash flow. Because the key to winning at business is, how do you grow your cash flow? And growing cash flow is about brand awareness. It's about building loyal customers. Because if I could wake up in the morning and know that I got 1,000 customers coming in the door, I can guarantee you right now that Apple's not sweating when they open the door at Apple, right out there, Town Square. They're not worried about that because they've already built that loyalty where they know that I have a number of customers coming in. And when I learned that in gaming and hospitality, I said, wow, you know what? They already know how many people are coming on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then they know if I give away a car, I'll increase that by 10. If I do this, I'll increase this by this. It is brilliant. And when I got that experience, I thought about it. I said, wow. Because can you imagine the UFC where it was before? And most people don't remember. Like in 99, 2000, the UFC was just like a street fight thing. People looked on the internet and said, oh, that's pretty cool. That's bloody. That's nasty.
It was a train wreck.
It was a train wreck. Absolutely. We turned that around to where it became a sports and entertainment. Now, think about this. I remember when boxing owned Vegas. No longer. The UFC owns Vegas. So it's a transformation. But it all was done through marketing and branding. Those people who look like barbarians, even the women who looked like they were just mean-spirited people, till they became icons. They became images where now even Hollywood's looking at them and saying, hey, let's put them on the big screen. So that was all attributed to what marketing does. So through the zone, we're going to teach people how to be the UFCs of the world. We're going to teach people how to be the gaming and hospitality giants. We're going to teach people how to be Apple and really get loyal customers in the door.
You know, and that's a great starting place for new businesses or businesses that have become stagnant or want to know how to move to the next step. And I think that the audience is really going to look forward to that. But I appreciate you sharing your expertise here. And for those of you listeners who would like to know more on how to contact Shaundell, he can be found on ShaundellNewsome.com, SumnuMarketing.com, and the newly coming SumnuSolutionZone.com. Thanks again for sharing your expertise.
It's my absolute pleasure. 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 Pleasure.